The real problem with AI, the supreme fear. Before we begin, I remind you that this is a reflective essay, not an academic document or a source of information. Its intention is to invite reflection. There is no doubt that artificial intelligence has become an extremely controversial and polarizing topic, one that forces us to be either for or against it, along with all the harm and benefits that come with each stance. Today more than ever, we question the concept of consciousness. We wonder if technology is our new guide toward growth or if we will become its slaves. Will AI agents abolish corruption or work for it? Will bots destroy the economy or empower it? Will advances in neural networks save the world before depleting all its resources? Will science find the path to immortality, or will it only become a silicon prison? Books like Nexus, by Yuval Noah Harari, and Everything is cked, by Mark Manson address these topics. However, I believe we are losing the human focus when talking about artificial intelligence. This is not the first time technology has radically changed the way we work. The cotton gin turned a laborious and exhausting task into something efficient. Factories and looms transformed the textile industry, though in this particular case, many people lost their jobs. Technology has a habit of changing the way we live. However, artificial intelligence, unlike the other technologies mentioned, has confronted us with something deeper than a change in habits. It is putting us face to face with the purest form of the supreme fear, the fear of insignificance. Perhaps there is no need to explain what fear is. We have all felt it at one time or another, at different scales, but it is a constant in human experience. A mechanism that helps us protect ourselves from external threats. Among the most sensitive and primordial are the fear of darkness, the unknown, fear of spiders, snakes, heights, pain, and death. All these fears are strongly linked to our most primitive part, to our animal side. However, as we developed socially and cognitively, we developed more complex fears: fear of commitment, of success, of freedom, fear of ridicule, of making mistakes, even of happiness. Yet all these fears, both complex and primordial, come from three basic fears which, mixed with ideas and contexts, form the entire variety of known fears: the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of death. The fear of darkness, snakes, and heights have their origins in the fear of death. Fears of commitment, freedom, and poverty originate in failure. Fears like loneliness arise from rejection. And other fears like ridicule and making mistakes emerge from combining rejection with failure. And despite the similarity these fears have with primary colors, I refuse to call them primary fears, because all of them are the result of the supreme fear, the fear of insignificance. The term insignificant is normally used as a synonym for scarcity. But its true definition has more to do with importance and the presence of consciousness in the world. Everything, absolutely everything we perceive has meaning. Signs are perceived, signs are interpreted, and signs are emitted, in a perpetual cycle. The relationship that exists between signs and us is meaning. Insignificance is the denial of what is real. Not as a lie, but as the sensation of simply ceasing to be real. If you think something cannot simply cease to be real, you are right. Things cannot simply stop being real, but that is what is perceived. Dying is a life that ceases to inhabit reality. Rejection is a bond that ceases to be real. Failure is an act that never materialized as real. Not everything that exists is real. If a coworker doesn't greet me, that is a real fact. But the ideas that accompany that fact, whether they're angry, distracted, or envious of me, exist without my being able to prove they are real. We live like this, clinging to a boat of what we know to be real, in the middle of a sea of things that merely exist. Losing that connection, falling off the boat and drifting among interpretations, that is insignificance. And that idea is more terrifying than terror itself. And guess what? Artificial intelligence, whether you love it or hate it, has just stepped on all three fears simultaneously: rejection, failure, and death. If people come to prefer AI over humans, we are facing a crisis of rejection. If AI can do my job better than my best effort, it confronts us with a crisis of failure. And if AI does not have the physical or mental limitations that any human being has, it confronts us with the reality that our life is not important and puts us in a crisis of death for humanity. How each person faces these crises defines their reactions and preferences on this topic. For example, in my personal experience, I remember the safety courses I was given when I did some projects for a mining company. Although we were far from the real danger, due to bureaucracy we had to take the safety courses. And let me tell you something, mining is an extremely dangerous business. People working at heights, in confined and dark spaces, in extreme conditions, and in contact with poisonous or harmful substances. Additionally, monotonous work leads to errors that literally cost people their lives. The idea of implementing AI and drones for mining work doesn't sound so bad from that perspective. However, it also means that thousands of people who have dedicated their lives to mining would lose their main sources of income. And this is not an easy matter to address. Is the preservation of life worth more than maintaining one's lifestyle and livelihood? There is no right answer. No matter what is decided, a cost must be paid. The decisions made in the future will be the result of how we face the fear of insignificance. Will we accept that humanity has reached its end, or will we enhance its capacity for growth? At this point, there are hundreds of ways things could improve for humanity, or ways it could meet its end. Ironically, artificial intelligence has nothing to do with the crisis we are facing. It has only triggered a reaction we have anticipated for centuries. It is time to confront these crises of insignificance, not from fear, but from love. Remember, the power is yours.